I've been wanting juiced bike for probably close to 10 years. And at the time, they were really expensive beyond what I could really afford. Even now, it's a little bit questionable, but finally got it. And this is the Rip Racer behind me, and super excited. I ordered it on Thursday, and it was actually supposed to come on Saturday, which is actually only 2 days. But it got delayed probably in the rain and came the next day. So ordered Thursday and arrived Sunday morning. So the packaging is very good. I was actually worried that the yellow may not be as bright as it is. So glad it's not like a pastel, but it's actually truly yellow. I can't believe it. It's been almost a decade since I've been looking at juice, and just to have it here in the garage, and after looking at it consistently more recently, I've literally seen every YouTube video on the juiced Rip Racer, and some of them more than once. And so I did use one of the links from a fellow YouTuber to get him his commission, because his video really did help with like his hill climbing test and everything. And I'll put his channel in the bottom of the description. I'm actually super surprised how light this wheel is. For a fat tire bike, I figured these things would be really heavy, but it's actually not as heavy as I was expecting. You gotta be really careful because the one on the right side, this nut, the axle cover comes on it from the factory, and so you're not gonna be able to turn this by hand as tight as it needs to be. So make sure you pull this out from the cover and then tighten it with a wrench before you put the cover back on.
Except you said there was going to be a rack here, right?
Mm-hmm. The rack is in the box over
Right here? Remember?
There will be a difference between the left and right pedals because of the way that they screw in. You don't want to be cross-threading or putting the wrong one on the wrong side. So here on the thread side, you're going to see the letter R. That might not be coming through in the camera very well, but this is the letter R, and then on here says the letter L. So we're gonna make sure we get that on the correct side of the bike. All right, it's important that you thread this in by hand before you use the tool, because when you use it by hand, you're gonna be able to feel if it's cross-threading and if there's any sort of resistance. So there should not be any resistance as you're turning the nut right here. And once you get that tight enough, at some point you're gonna run out of space on your hands here. And then you can use the tool, which is gonna be the 15 on here. And you're gonna be turning towards the front, okay? That's important to remember because when you go on the left side, it's gonna be, instead of lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, it's gonna be opposite. Because the reason why is as you're pedaling in this direction, you wanna continue to tighten the bolt rather than loosen. If the opposite side wasn't reversed, as you're pedaling, you'd be loosening the bolt. So on the opposite side, it's gonna be opposite threaded towards the front of the bike. So the front is gonna be in this direction, okay? So we're gonna start turning this again towards the front. And it should be very easy to thread through. Again, if you feel any resistance, then you want to back it off and then try it again. Because the last thing you want to do is cross thread your pedal nut here. Turning this isn't going to do anything. It's just that when you're reaching in here, it may be easier to turn and get more clearance. But again, it's going to be the 15, and then do not go clockwise. On the left side, you're going to go counterclockwise because you're going to turn towards the front of the bike. You want to charge the battery before you start running it from the factory, but to take the battery out, you're going to turn this clockwise, so there's going to be kind of a spring action to it. So you turn it, and then you're going to feel some resistance. You're going to turn just a little bit more, and then pop that battery out. So to get it in, you're going to hold that in the unlock position, and then you're going to snap it in place and then let go, and that locks it so it doesn't remove. Okay. So what's helpful for me is when you put the key in, you go like that and you use your thumb here and kind of create some leverage so you're not yanking it too hard. And the reason you're going to do that is you're going to access the power button, which is going to be right here. Hold that in for a couple seconds, and then you should see a light. There you go. So you see lights up here, and that turns it off. Press it on again, and you'll see the lights. And you'll pop that in place. And just kind of give it a tug, make sure it doesn't come loose, because if you don't get it attached correctly and you start riding and that thing falls off, that's not going to be good news. From the factory, the display is going to be like this, and you're wondering where the power button is. It's on the back, so you're going to have to kind of angle it up like this, and there's the power button. So when you are riding, you're going to find whatever position this is that works for you. It's independent of everything else, so it's not going to interfere with the other components as you change the angle. But the power button's going to be there. Going to hold that in place. And there you go. To turn on the headlight would be very simple. You're going to press a button, and then it's going to have a headlight symbol here, and that button is going to be the plus sign. So you're going to hold that down, and you'll see that is on. One thing I noticed about the tires is that they are pumped to less than 10 pounds per inch. So you want to go ahead and inflate that up to 30. I'm going to do like 25 to 28-ish. That's quite a workout pumping that. So if you're thinking about bringing a hand pump on board, it's probably not going to happen. So Rip Racer does recommend the electronic one. There are other ones available. They're around kind of the same price. I believe they're like 30 or 40 bucks, but totally worth doing if you plan to or think you might have to inflate on the road, because using a hand pump, it's not going to happen. I mean, this is a full-size pump here, and even that took not a lot of time, but I would say a lot of effort for sure. Don't turn it too tight, because if you turn this too tight, it will crack, and it's not a big deal. You can always get another one, but if you crack it, then it's not going to tighten at all. It's going to break. So just tighten until it's firm, kind of like your car or your regular bicycle. Wow, to give you guys an idea of the size of these tires, I mean 4 inches on the Rip Racer compared to the Yamaha Vina 125. The Rip Racer tires are actually wider. They got the rack installed. It's called the relay rack. So what I like about this is that it has this bar here as well. So if you're putting a pad or some sort of pannier on top, some sort of container, then that would normally block this from putting your bags on, but it has a separate rod here, so you can hang stuff off here as well. So that's a really nice touch. The rear light that was mounted there comes with an extension cable to relocate the brake light here. So it's still functioning, and now it's off the back of the rack rather than the frame. Similar here with the front basket. The light is relocated to the front here. It does have this kind of recessed area to kind of have the light fitting in there, which is a nice flush kind of look to it. Maximum is 25 pounds, so do not put a kid or any live being in there unless it's like a rabbit. What is that?
Okay, so that was a full assembly of the Rip Racer. So it wasn't challenging at all. I can't really time it because of all setting up the camera and filming for you guys, but it wasn't hard at all. I just kind of followed instructions on the Juiced YouTube channel to assemble this. And then with this channel, hopefully you found some tips on how to do the installation, and happy riding.